Fox News Alert, it's on. U.S. Central Command launching crippling strikes against Iran. Command centers, missile and drone launch sites, and air defense systems wiped out along the coastline. This new offensive aimed at pushing back what's left of the enemy's firepower far away from reaching the strait. The commander-in-chief now calling his shots, like the Babe.
How about these people? They're in this because of nuclear weapons, and they're trying to possibly reconstitute a site. We'll hit that site. Any site where they're even thinking about nuclear, we'll be hitting it very, very powerfully.
Pickaxe Mountains in the crosshairs. The Israelis are leaking to the media that the Iranians moved centrifuges under the mountain after Operation Midnight Hammer obliterated their 3 main sites. AKA, it's their little plan B. Like 3-card Monty, if they ever get their hands on more uranium.
Do you believe that Iran has moved nuclear centrifuges into Pickaxe Mountain?
It doesn't mean anything unless they have the material. They don't have. We follow the material. That's where the action is. And we'll be hitting that area probably pretty soon. And there's not a thing they can do about it.
The nuclear dusk has been buried. Their nuclear program's over. So what are they doing in an underground lair? And why is it 6,000 feet deep?
Do we have the ability to destroy whatever is underneath Pickaxe Mountain?
Senator, a lot of our capabilities are classified, but if anybody in the world can reach anything on God's green earth, it's the United States military, the most powerful military in the world. It's all about options and trade-offs.
The option on the president's desk right now is an all-out war. That would include Pickaxe. Sources say Israel would come in to help deliver the final blow. The Israelis are already on high alert and preparing to go full scale. F-16s and F-35s are moving into theater, and refueling planes are being pre-positioned. The Iranians say they still want to negotiate, but talks are off. The United States says they're not coming back into the table until the Iranians show they're serious.
Iran's been given every opportunity to negotiate, to show that they're reasonable on the Strait of Hormuz. But if they're going to shoot at commercial shipping, then we're going to hit them, as the president said, 10 times harder, which every night we're degrading them further and further. And the president has all the options necessary. If they want to talk, they can talk. Otherwise, they can deal with the War Department.
The other option on the table, a 10-day ceasefire, a cooling off period, which the Iranians desperately need.
Mr. President, there are no signs that Iran is ready to stop fighting. So what is the plan? Is the plan to just keep bombing until they give up?
There are no signs. Why, do you know something that I don't know?
Well, they continue to attack our allies and kill Americans.
You don't know what the dialogue is behind the scenes, that they want to meet desperately to try and end it because they're getting decimated. You don't get that when you listen to your fake station.
While we're dropping bombs, the commander-in-chief's playing diplomat. The president's peeling Lebanon away from the gay Ayatollah. The Lebanese president visited the White House today. It was the first time in 15 years. It was quite chummy.
Mr. President, it's an honor having you. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
I've been looking forward to this visit for a long time.
Thank you very much.
Meeting such a great president like yourself.
That's a very nice thing. See, he knows how to get to me. He can have anything.
Trump shattered the entire network of Iranian alliances. The War Department is looking to train, equip, and vet elite army units in Lebanon to go in and purge and disarm Hezbollah for good. This keeps Israel from having to do the dirty work, which Lebanon likes quite a bit. And it could even bring Lebanon into the Abraham Accords. Iran's other proxies, the Houthis, could set up their own blockade in the Red Sea. Now, that's another key choke point like Hormuz. Shipping goes north and south through the Mediterranean, connecting Europe to the Middle East and Asia. Iran's trying to terrorize the main artery of world trade. Now, if the Houthis get frisky, there could be trouble.
What is your level of concern of a blockade of the Red Sea by the Houthi rebels, opening up another front in the war?
We'll see what happens. So far, it hasn't happened. It might happen. But we take care of things. If something like that happens, we take care of it.
The U.S. Navy will keep the oil flowing and protected from piracy. Over 500 million barrels of oil sailed right under the nose of Iran during Project Freedom. And we have bases on the Horn of Africa ready to do their duty. Hegseth testified today that we are in total control of traffic. Our guided missile destroyers, like the USS Mason, continue to sail the seas, and morale on board sky high. Iran's terrorizing the Strait because it's their only leverage. But they're going to lose that leverage, not just because of U.S. air power, but because Gulf countries are skipping the Strait. Iraq just visited the White House, and they signed off on Chevron finishing a pipeline from Baghdad to Syria into the Mediterranean. Iran won't be able to clip any tankers because the tankers will be off the coast of Greece. Chevron's also going to drill, baby, drill in southern Iraq. And ConocoPhillips just took a huge stake in Iraqi oil. Remember Trump said we should have taken the oil? Well, there you go. Starlink is going to start operating in Iraq. Even J.P. Morgan is going to open a Baghdad branch. Those deals are worth $60 billion. So we've pulled Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon away from the mullahs. And we're selling the Arabs $2 trillion in AI, plus weapons. Russia and China aren't even in the sandbox. The president setting the table. And now the Iranian economy is on the brink.
We have found the money man for the Ayatollah, and we hope to soon be able to print his $100 million plus properties and show the addresses. Their currency has collapsed. It is at an all-time low versus the dollar. It's in free fall. And we think the inflation rate is upwards of 180%. Iran's sugar daddy, China, alligator arms. Crude purchases down 40%. Venezuela, even worse. Big mistake by Beijing to build their energy supplies off sanctioned rogues, now surrounded by Pistol Pete. Our Arab allies believe that Iran's about to tap. Their economy's in tatters and their currency's cratering. Yep, they're still shooting, but they can't keep up.
Iran is at the weakest point militarily it has ever been in the past decade. Certainly, maybe in 47 years, as they've gathered effectively a terror army. So I acknowledge they still have capabilities, no doubt. But the amount of damage that we've done to them over the course of these series of operations has put them in the worst place they've ever been.
The mission's expensive. There's no doubt about it. The president argues it is worth the cost. Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, he says, or a military that can jack up U.S. energy prices. Hegseth and General Raising Cane testified on Capitol Hill today to say we have to finish the job. But they need money. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs says the character of war is changing. And Biden left them with an empty war chest.
The Biden administration ignored hypersonics. They just decided to pretend like that technology didn't exist and we shouldn't invest in it. There are things. I don't know what Lloyd Austin did for 4 years. I really don't.
Well, I'm sure
the amount of neglect, the amount of stale thinking and bureaucracy, it was staggering when we took over.
Democrats at the hearing did talk a lot about winning the war, but they mostly meant the war in Ukraine.
We're at a moment in history where we can win the war in Ukraine. That victory would be critically important for those people who have fought for more than 4 years against the odds and proven they could put Putin back on his heels. But instead of finding the money that they need now for air defenses, we're putting more money into this exchange with Iran, a war of choice which we never should have entered.
Did the Democrats say we have to win the war in Iran? I didn't hear it. They all said we have to win the war in Ukraine. Guys, the U.S. is at war now. No one's shooting at Americans in Europe. They're shooting at Americans in the Strait.
I appreciate as much as anybody winning a war, but I sit in front of a committee that wants to talk about winning a war that's been going on for 4 years and talks about strategic defeat of a conflict that's been going on for 4 months to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb. I would hope for some perspective in this town of the historic nature of what President Trump is undertaking. Do you want radical Islamists to have a nuclear bomb
I don't want to hear your speech because I have limited time.
I don't understand.
If you can't answer my question, then I will move on to my next question.
Obama and Biden sent money to Iran. They used it to buy missiles, launch them at our troops, and now the Democrats don't want to send money to the Pentagon to keep them safe. They want to give money to Zelensky, but not Trump. The Democrats want to win the midterms. They don't want to win the war in Iran. Now, it was back and forth all afternoon until Pete finally erupted.
You don't have a strategy. You don't have a long-term plan to actually win this war. Win the war. The men and women are going to be able to do it, but they need to have leadership. When will you show leadership? When will you show leadership?
Why don't you show some leadership and stand up to your fellow Democrats who won't fund the troops, who stand and play partisan politics while you don't give us the money? You want to stand up here and talk about the troops? You won't show any political courage to actually fund our department because you have Trump derangement syndrome and can't actually commit to anything meaningful.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.